You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Everyone loves liberty. Our rights come from God, not the government. So why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your health care? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their health care. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your health care, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your health care while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark. You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View.
All right, it's Jessie. How y'all doing out there today? You know I miss you when we're not talking. Now, I don't even want to see that look of disbelief that you don't believe what I'm saying. So, take that idea and long walk, short plank it. Okay? Yeah, that idea needs to be right out of here. Don't make me boing it. Are you really going to make me boing it? All right, let's bounce that idea right out of here. My, oh my. Got off the air Thursday, get back on the air on Monday night. And for those of you who woke up, went to bed, there was no POV, you woke up and found an episode, went, what happened? Well, I had some complications today, so we had to push back the broadcast, and the next available time slot was midnight. So I said that's when we're going to do the show. Yes, that's what I done did. There has been so much going on. Alright, I don't even know where to start. Well, I do. But before I get started, you can tune into Jessie's POV on your favorite podcast locations, including, but this is probably not all of them, iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Blueberry, Podcast.com, Pocket Casts, and the list goes on, not to mention iHeartRadio. Yes, thank you. Jessie's POV has finally made it to iHeartRadio. Now, there's only one reason I'm really here, folks, and that's you guys. That is you guys. And I love what I'm doing, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the listeners. So I do want to take a moment and say thank you. Whether you tune in live, Memorex, podcast, wherever. Thank you. Because without the listeners, I wouldn't have a show. Now, the 38th parallel. Yes, those are almost scary words. The 38th parallel. How close are we to crossing it? What do you mean you don't know what I mean by the 38th parallel? Alright, the 38th parallel is the border between North and South Korea. And I've got to say that we seem to be inching closer. And I was talking to a friend. Actually, I've talked to a lot of friends tonight. One of them said something that gave me pause. Does anybody remember when Trump did the strike on China or Syria? When he was having dinner with Xi Jinping? Yes. That's when he launched a surgical strike in Syria. Now, someone said to me they think it's possible for Trump to launch a strike during the UN General Assembly week. I was shocked. My jaw hit the floor. I don't know how else to categorize it. But yes, I was shocked. That's not something I've even considered. Are we getting closer? I have to say, we are. And please remember, we have approximately 25,000 men and women in uniform on that peninsula right now. Now that's not the only thing that's given me pause in the past couple of days, I must add. However, it's the one that's given me the most. Why do I bring it up? Well, gonna cut to the chase here. For those of you who don't know or don't remember or aren't regular listeners, I am not only a Special Forces widow, I am a United States Army spouse. Yes, my husband is active duty Army. He is currently one of the 25,000 men and women that is stationed in South Korea. Okay, before you go, that must be so hard on you. Take a deep breath. It is, but it's not. And I know I just left you scratching your head. What do you mean it is, but it's not? Alright, we'll get there. We'll get there. You just gotta bear with me for 2 seconds. It is hard. But I know where he is. I know what he's doing. If I want to, I can pick up the phone and get a hold of him. He has a Korean cell phone. And I do take advantage of that from time to time. Now, I don't always call him. It's not something I'll put it this way. I don't abuse the privilege of calling him. I do realize that he has a job to do. We talk maybe once a day. Sometimes that's even every other day. But we do talk. Not going to deny it. Couldn't if I wanted to. But would I ask him to come home if I could? Are you sitting down? The answer is no. No, you wouldn't bring your husband home? No, I wouldn't. Would you like to know why? I can give you a very succinct why. Part of what I love about my husband is his his putting the country and his service to the country before himself. And I know that you're going to say, oh, that's altruistic, that's a nice sentiment, but nothing. It's part of why I love the man that I love. And there is nothing you can say or do to change that fact because, well, guess what? There's nothing you can do to change that fact. And that's just the sum of that argument. Now, I do sometimes get to talk to him. Sometimes he tells me things that I will not share on the air. So don't ask, because it's not going to happen. I appreciate his trust and confidence in me, not to share what I shouldn't. And that has been the way with everyone. I frequently get bits and pieces of information shared with me I cannot share with my listeners. But I will say this, I do try and find a different way to share it. I may not be able to share exactly what they told me or when they told me. But I do try and find ways of sharing it that don't hurt anyone. So it's just kind of how I roll with it. Now let's get back to the .38th parallel. How close are we to crossing it? I'm going to say we're pretty gosh darn close. Why? Have ya looked at the news lately? I mean, I am constantly reading news. I am constantly examining news articles. The ones on the air and the ones that aren't on the air. I stroll through social media on occasion. I am surprised occasionally by something I didn't catch, but then I check into it. And I enjoy doing it. Now, I have an interesting take on life. Do I think President Trump will launch a strike during the UN General Assembly? I don't know, but I got to admit this. That's one way to steal the show. Yeah, that is one way to steal the show. Not saying he's wanting to, but that would be a way of doing it. Do I think he's going to? I honestly have no way of knowing. I honestly have no way of knowing. And I know that kind of sounds like a cop-out. But it isn't. It is not. The last thing I would do with you is give you a cop-out of an answer. That is not my style. I don't like to give cop-outs. I don't take them, and I don't expect them from others. That being said, there are times that I will have to put something off. Just like tonight, I had to change my schedule up at the 11th hour. But there really wasn't anything I could do about it. It was the way things had to be for reasons I could explain, but I won't. All right, now that we've gone through all that gobbledygook. Yes, in a way, it is gobbledygook. I have one more announcement, and then we will get on with the show. Happy birthday, Air Force! Yes, happy birthday, Air Force. And to celebrate that, and that was the official Air Force song. Happy 100th birthday, Air Force. All right. How are we doing on time here? All right, I'm off my show clock a little bit because, well, I was a few minutes late getting started, but tonight I gave myself permission to just relax and roll with it because there's nobody on my heels. Now, that doesn't mean I'm running over, friends. I still got to fit into the regular format. Just means if I'm running 5 or 10 minutes off my clock getting started, I can make it up on the back end as long as I hit the right number of minutes in the end. So now that I think I've got all my babble and announcements out of the way, yes, that is the show prep. It's quite a thick stack. I've been printing things out and meaning to get on the air and trying to get on the air. And I had a week of all kinds of things go just about bananas. So we're going to back up and start with a few things I printed prior to Friday. Well, obviously President Trump is looking for a way to deal with North Korea. That's not news. What are his options? Well, we've tried diplomatic. Yes, we did just institute more sanctions. But I got news for you. That oil from China, it's really hard to keep track of how much they're sending if they actually cut their oil by 30%. Or cut their oil at all. Why is it hard? It goes through a pipeline. It's hard to see what goes through a pipeline. Now, what does that have to do with anything? Well, the Kim dynasty has long sought recognition as a nuclear weapons state. And Let's face it, that would be a minefield for any president. Yes, North Korea is now a nuclear power. Can they load those missiles onto warheads? They say yes. We go, maybe, but your re-entry vehicle, last I knew, wasn't stable. What's North Korea still up to? Well, guess what, folks? They're working on a 7th tunnel. Why do you care if they're building a tunnel? No, they're not tunneling to China or South Korea. A 7th nuclear test tunnel. They conduct these tests underground. Why? Well, the most obvious reason is so we can't see exactly what they're doing. And then, of course, we have the Hwasong-12 intermediate-range ballistic missile that flew over Japan for the 2nd time in a month, on the heels of North Korea's 6th nuclear test. That test was the largest it had conducted to date, and it is believed to have been a thermonuclear device. And remember, those devices aren't cheap, and this is in a country that isn't feeding or caring for its own people. This is in a country where 90% of their trade is sanctioned. They can't do it. This is in a country where they're probably facing a famine this year because of a drought. Now, I don't think, host opinion, sanctions are going to work. Why? Well, here's a clip from the Russian representative to the United States UN.
Look, I'm saying that sanctions alone, whatever bans are introduced, will not help to solve the issue, because the aim is to stop the nuclearization, to go for denuclearization, and eventually, hopefully, to come back to the six-party talks. So whatever measures we are planning now, I'm not sure that they will influence the other side to abandon what they have been doing, and this is not the way to get parties at a table which and to seek for a political solution which we are all in favor of.
Now, we are all in favor of denuclearization on the Korean Peninsula. That being said, a North Korean retaliation could put Seoul at risk. Now, Mattis claims to have military options where North Korea wouldn't lose thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of lives if we had to hit. Now, just to remind you what Mattis thought about civilian casualties. Now, this clip was in reference to Operation Inherent Resolve, but I still think it's worth playing.
We go out of our way to always do everything humanly possible to reduce the loss of life or injury among innocent people. The same cannot be said for our adversaries.
So I thought that was worthwhile. Now, just today, and I don't have the audio, Mattis commented that there are nuclear options that do not lead to Seoul being obliterated by the thousands of artillery pieces just outside the DMZ, the demilitarized zone. that separates North and South Korea, and the dividing line is the 38th parallel. All right. On with something more current than an Operation Inherent Resolve clip. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley. You know I play her clips all the time. Well, she was part of Friday's White House press briefing. And here was a question that was posed to her and her response. It's a little bit longer than I normally play, but you can bear with it.
My question's about North Korea, which is perhaps the biggest foreign policy challenge for President Trump right now. About a month ago, the president issued a threat to North Korea. He warned of fire and fury. And as you know, Ambassador, at the UN Security Council, you've imposed tougher sanctions on North Korea. Both of these efforts do not seem to be changing their behavior. Is it time for the U.S. to change its approach to North Korea? Is that something that you're contemplating? And General, if you could weigh on this as well, I appreciate it.
I think what was really important with North Korea was that we try and push through as many diplomatic options as we have. If you look at the resolutions that have passed in the last month, the two of them, they cut 30% of the oil. They banned all the laborers. They banned 90% of the exports. They banned joint ventures. We've basically taken it, and in the words of North Korea, we have strangled their economic situation at this point. That's going to take a little bit of time, but it has already started to take effect. What we are seeing is they continue to be provocative. They continue to be reckless. And at that point, there's not a whole lot the Security Council is going to be able to do from here when you've cut 90% of the trade and 30% of the oil. So having said that, I have no problem kicking it to General Mattis because I think he has plenty of options.
General?
I have... Yes, she said she has no problem kicking this problem to General Mattis because she believes he has plenty of options. I'm going to replay just that last little bit.
Do from here when you've cut 90% of the trade and 30% of the oil. So having said that, I have no problem kicking it to General Mattis because I think he has plenty of options.
General?
All right. She said that not once, but twice. Friday at the White House press conference and Sunday on CNN. Now, Sunday here isn't Sunday everywhere. And on Sunday, which was Monday in South Korea, and North Korea for that matter, because they are, I think, 16 hours ahead of Eastern Time, we did another show of force, but this one was a little different. There were 4 United States F-35B Lightning II stealth jets and 2 B-1B Lancer strategic bombers. They flew over Korea on Monday, training with South Korea's F-15K Slam Eagle fighter jets in a show of alliance's powerful deterrence against North Korea. The aircraft flew across the Korean peninsula and practiced their attack capabilities by releasing live weapons at the Pilsung Range training area. Stop right there. They've never mentioned the release of live munitions. That sent my mind reeling. Why did they have live? What was their original target? I don't know. I don't know. The Marine Corps' F-35Bs based in Japan and Air Force B-1Bs stationed in Guam are among high-profile U.S. defense assets deployed to Korea relatively often in response to the North Korean provocation. Now, I have blown through the commercial break, so we are going to pay those radio station bills, And I will see you on the other side. And as always, you can find me on Twitter at the CCOV. I will see you on the other side.
If you wanna, you can play dead if you wanna. Forget what they said if you wanna. Turn your back on the country needing you right now. But I don't wanna.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk, or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Everyone loves liberty. Our rights come from God, not the government. So why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your health care? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their health care. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your health care, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your health care while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
Thank y'all for hanging in there with me while we paid those radio station bills. Yes, there is a price for everything. And in the case of the radio station, it is paying the bills by running the commercials. All right. Now, this article goes into some weeds. I don't want to go into the details, but it does stress and in fact highlights that it is highly unusual for the aircraft to approach North Korea. This leads me to believe they were very close. Not kind of close. Not safely away, but right up to that edge. And that is something I have not seen. And they dropped live munitions. They don't normally drop live. What they normally drop are called training rounds or dummy rounds. And while they have the same weight as a live round, they don't have the same explosive capacity. Often they're filled with concrete or something like that. But the U.S. dispatched 4 F-35s and 2 B-1Bs late last month when North Korea launched a ballistic missile. So this is not something that has not been seen over the peninsula before. But it did catch my attention that they flew in formation near the DMZ, right along the tense border. And they don't normally get that close to it, because one slip of the pilot and they could be over it. Now, let's talk China for a minute. One, they don't want to cut off the oil from North Korea. Why? Well, there's a number of reasons, but the biggest one is that they don't want a failed state. They like a buffer between them and South Korea, which is essentially very much a U.S. ally. Not to mention the South China Sea. What does this have to do with the South China Sea? Well, China is working on building, quote-unquote, the new Silk Road, or its One Belt, One Road project. And China hasn't stopped, has not stopped its real-world Minecraft exercises there. And this is because, with Trump and the international community focused on North Korea, China can quietly continue consolidating its territorial claims in the South China Sea. The South China Sea is a contested area. Now, the other countries tried to do things the right way. They tried to take China to the International Court of Arbitration, in fact did. However, China lost, but China said, we don't care, we're not going to live up to we don't accept the ruling. So, I'm going to say China is quietly preparing for war in the South China Sea. Because should a U.S.-China war break out in the South China Sea, Beijing will rely on a Mao-era military tactic. And the likelihood of conflict in the South China Sea goes up. You just haven't heard about it. That's because the United States still exercises its rights of passage. On September 1st, the U.S. Department of Defense announced it set up a schedule of regular freedom of navigation exercises. Yes, it's doing regular freedom of navigation exercises. And China considers them provocative. And has warned the United States numerous times that one possible consequence of carrying out such operations is war. So, yeah, there could be
warning.
There could be something to that. I mean, really. There are disputed islands throughout the South China Sea that a number of countries claim. Indonesia has claims, Vietnam, China, I think Cambodia, China, Taiwan, Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Japan, and Indonesia all have claims to different parts of the South China Sea. But China says, it's all ours, you guys just take a long walk off a short plank. A flotilla of Chinese military vessels surrounded the Philippines' Sandy Cay on August 16th. Duterte, President of the Philippines, Duterte actually defended its presence, which is a complete 180-degree turn from his predecessor, President Aquino. Duterte told concerned constituents that the vessels were fine because they appeared to be armed, because though they appeared not to be armed, they were not claiming anything. Meanwhile, China has been offering Manila a total of $24 billion in aid and investments, seemingly in exchange for its acquiescence in the South China Sea. Malaysia, Indonesia, and Singapore have pretty much buckled, and it's what China wants. But there is definitely something going on in the South China Sea that we're not paying attention to. Because this guy has our attention. Kim Jong-un has our attention. And that's not a good thing. Now, I do have just one or two more audio clips. I will get them pulled up. But this is a country, I must remind you, that doesn't feed its own people. That would rather starve its own people so it can be a, quote, nuclear power than take care of its people and give up the nuclear weapons. Now, this was at a military conference over the weekend in the region. And I will play this for you now.
You know, the theme of this conference is civil military cooperation and support in the face of non-traditional threats. And as I mentioned at the outset, the timing couldn't have been more uncanny. It is absolutely critical that all of our nations stand shoulder to shoulder against what arguably is the number one non-traditional threat facing the international community today, and it's very proximate to this capital city. North Korea lays only 27 miles north of here, and they are clearly and unambiguously threatening their neighbors, flying missiles over Japan, provoking South Korea, and clearly and unambiguously threatening the United States. But they don't only threaten Japan, the United States, and South Korea. They threaten the world.
All right, that's part of the comments. We are going to finish the rest out, but this was it. This is from a United States military leader speaking to other military leaders from the region. Take that into consideration.
And it's absolutely critical that we all, every one of our countries, does everything humanly possible in the months ahead to avert an armed conflict and convince North Korea that their path of seeking nuclear weapons is the wrong path. And I would ask each of you as chiefs of your respective armies to work closely with your governments to achieve that end and synchronize our efforts. This will be a great conference, as it was in PAMS last year and as it was at the PAC conference 2 years ago. We have a lot of things to discuss. I think we have a great agenda, and I certainly look forward to having discussions with many of you, and I know that it will be very professionally fruitful for all of our armies. Thank you again, General Kim, for putting this together. Kashin Kapsida.
Yes, I even let the thank yous play out because I wanted you to get a glimpse of how professional our military can be when they're interacting. I don't know how many of you realize our military is an extension of our diplomacy in many cases. Now, here's the way I see things to sum everything up because we are almost out of time. I just have a handful of minutes left and I have a few more announcements I want to make. Crossing the 38th parallel, be it by missile, by plane, by drone, or by troops and armored vehicles, is inevitable. Because North Korea has said they will not back down no matter how bad the sanctions get. North Korea will, keep this in mind, North Korea has deplorable prison camps, slave labor from its own people. It doesn't feed them. It will just as soon let them starve to death. How would I like to see North Korea defeated? Real simple. Yeah, you take out that artillery that's threatening Seoul, but you don't bomb the rest of the country. You don't bother. What you do is you airdrop food, tons of it. Tons and tons of food. These are people who eat grass, bark off trees. They kill and eat rats just to survive in the rural regions. Now, of course, the pampered pooches of Pyongyang have it much better. But those are the lucky few. Those are the chosen pampered pooches. One misstep could land them in a prison camp. And Kim Jong-un has shown himself to be a brutal dictator who will execute anyone to consolidate power. He took out his own uncle. And don't forget, North Korea has promised us more gift packages. Let's take a listen to that audio clip.
I'm proud of saying that just 2 days ago, on 3rd of September, DPRK successfully carried out the hydrogen bomb test for intercontinental ballistic rocket and its plan for building a strategic nuclear force. The test is part of normal activities according to policy line of the Workers' Party of Korea to simultaneously push forward economic construction and building of nuclear force. The recent self-defensive measures by my country, DPRK, are gift package addressed to none other than the U.S. The U.S. will receive more gift packages from my country as long as it relies on reckless provocations and futile attempt to put pressure on the DPRK. My delegation also takes this opportunity to once again reject categorically the sanction resolutions adopted by the UN Security Council, which has now reduced to political tool serving for despicable U.S. hostile policy towards my country, DPRK. Pressure or sanction will never work on my country. The DPRK will never, under any circumstance, put its nuclear deterrence on the negotiating table.
All right, North Korea told us themselves. Sanctions will never work. Now, I want to remind you what Secretary Tillerson had to say, and this is a very brief audio clip.
The diplomatic and other efforts of the past 20 years to bring North Korea to a point of denuclearization have failed. So we have 20 years of failed approach.
All right, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results? North Korea has said they will do anything to be a nuclear power. Why? What's their reasoning? Gaddafi didn't have nuclear weapons. He's gone. Saddam Hussein didn't have nuclear weapons. He's gone. Now, what you probably don't know, and I don't have the audio to prove it, but North Korea has been feeding chemical, biological weapons to Syria. Now, I've heard that we may start boarding ships under international law to search for weapons. I don't know if that's going to happen. I've heard that we might. I'm not most worried about a North Korean nuclear strike, although that would be horrific. Here's what scares me.
The DPRK article stated that the hydrogen bomb was, quote, a multifunctional thermonuclear nuke with great destructive power, which can be detonated at even high altitudes for super powerful EMP attack, end quote. This was a rare reference by the DPRK to the use of EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, which, triggered by a nuclear weapon, would aim for widespread damage and disruption to electricity grids and sensitive electronics, including on satellites.
Yes, the sky would literally be falling. And now that Mattis has said there are military options that do not mean mass casualties in Seoul, I hate to say it, I think we're crossing the parallel soon. All right, folks, as always, thank you for tuning in. You can find me on Twitter at Jesse's POV. You can email me at the station, Jesse's POV at KLRNRadio.com. And on that note, I'm out of here!